I was actually thinking we shouldn't go in chronological order because B and C are the ones where I'm like, I'm not sure. So let's skip to D. So if we go to
Okay.
Group D, we have France, Italy, Belgium, Iceland. Now, on paper,
Yeah.
France should win this group easily.
Yeah.
But as many of you know, France is managed by Corinne Diacre. Corinne Diacre has, how do we put this on? Questionable management skills. And
yes.
yeah, questionable roster selections. Let's put it like that. So in short, I mean, everyone's talked about this already, but she decided to leave Amandine Henry off the squad, which, considering what Amandine Henry just did with Lyon, it's mind-boggling. It's kind of insane, but there you go. She decided, nope, I'm not taking her to the to the European Championships. I saw some chat about Les Lemaire as well. I'm not as very, very upset or whatever about Les Lemaire not being picked for the France squad, because not that she doesn't have a lot of quality still, but she's faded in terms of her importance, not just for Lyon, but even for France. And, would it be good to have her around the team? Yes, because she can provide that moment of magic that you might need. But in terms of if you just look at the talent that they have right now, they really don't need her, right? So Les Lemaire is okay, but Amandine Henry is the big one. That's the one where everyone is kind of like, what are you thinking? So apart from Henry, if we look at the team itself, we can start right at the top, right? We have probably the most informed striker in the world right now. Could we say that? I mean, she's
absolutely.
obviously out of season now, but in terms of just the overall season, Marie-Antoinette Katoto.
Yeah.
She is legit probably one of my favorite players right now. Yeah. And in the same sense that we were talking about Hegerberg, she has that dog in her, right? Like, she is unafraid to go after any defender. It doesn't matter who it is. It doesn't matter who it is she's up against. She will go right at you. And she will score. That's the other thing. She won't just go right at you and get past you. She'll score too.
Yes.
And obviously, the most recent example of that is when they played Lyon in the Champions League. She went right at Wendy Bernard.
That was rude. It was rude.
Showed her up, and then finished, I'm pretty sure it was near post, right?
Yep,
on end line.
Yep.
Yeah. And I mean, if that doesn't show you the kind of confidence that she's on right now, then I don't know what can. Right. But she's like, she is the pick for France, because part of France's biggest problem in all the other tournaments going back a couple years, even back to when they played the US at the Olympics in 2012, they could finish, but they can kill off a game. And when you have someone like Katoto, you can kill off a game because she can get you a lot of goals. And you saw that in the World Cup of 2019. Corinne Diacre didn't select her for the World Cup squad.
Yeah.
Again, questionable roster choices, but they could have really used her then. They could have really used her then, because the amount of chances they had in that quarterfinal against the US, if they had it on the pitch, could have been a different story, right? But in terms of this tournament now, she's the one, right? I think this is her chance to really, really put her mark, because people say, oh, she plays in France. It's Farmers League, blah, 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 all that. But I think if she can do it at this tournament, then there's no question about her.
Yeah, I honestly, there shouldn't be any question about her at all, period. I mean, she's been doing this for multiple seasons now. You see the level of goal scoring and the variety of goal scoring is wild. The only thing I've said is it will be a complete wrap for everybody when she starts scoring bangers from outside the box.
Exactly.
Right now, she scores from anywhere inside the box that she wants. It doesn't matter. She can do a near post run, far post run. She can, like you said, she can take on a defender 1v1 and get a shot off. She can finish near post, far post. Doesn't really matter. She's got finishing within the box down. She is a danger. You get her around the ball, you get her service. She's going to put the ball in the back of the net. Now she can step out and start scoring goals from there. You got a big problem. You're looking at a player that's going to go down in absolute history for record goal scoring, because she's still very young as well. So that's another thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited about this France team. I think, I mean, like you said, it's the head coach. Are they going to be able to, are they going to be able to overcome the head coach? They're talented enough to do that. I mean, I think in defense, that combination of Mbakbathi and Wendy Renard is just, I mean, best center back pairing that there is in this, there's going to be in the European Championships. See, I learned.
Maybe.
Maybe
Spain.
we'll get to it.
Yeah.
We'll get to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think that's very impressive. I think what they can do. An outside back, we know about Karshawi, we know about Selma Basha, who I talked about earlier, and locking down Caroline Graham Hansen in that Champions League final.
Yeah.
I just like, yeah, I don't have any questions about the midfield either, except for Henri. That's the other thing. Like you mentioned it, and that's the thing. Like, are you going to need a player like that to be able to lock down another team?
Yeah.
I would say yes. I don't understand why you wouldn't give yourself that option if you think other players can move the ball a bit more fluidly, or they can, they're better in build up. Perhaps that's what you go with, right? But if you don't have that option on the bench when you need to settle a game down, when you need to say, okay, it's 2-1, we need to make sure we don't draw, you're going to need somebody who can do that. And I think Henri is a perfect choice for a player who can come on and do that. I also think in some of these matches that are going to be quite difficult, particularly in the knockout stages and on, like, you're going to need you're going to need somebody who's a lot more solid. And that's why I think, just like, again, questionable decision, put it that way. But I mean, everywhere else on the pitch, you're looking at a very, very talented team.
So I'm going to throw a question at you.
Oh,
right.
No. I'm sure.
Who do you think she's going to start? Apart from Katoto, who's going to be on the wings?
I mean, you could just go straight PSG, right? And just do Diani in Baltimore. So you could do that. I think you also have a shout for like Cascarino. Cascarino is one of my favorite players just because she's so damn saucy. Like, she's just incredible. So I like watching that. But I think you've got a good rotation there, and you kind of see who it is. I think you can just go with the straight PSG front line. Familiarity is kind of important sometimes in these tournaments. So I think you can run that out there. So yeah, I think it's really going to depend, but I don't know. I might for match one, I might have to put those three out there and just say, hey, go do your thing.
Okay. And so I'm going to throw you a little bit of a curveball as we walk into Italy, right? I think Diacre might actually switch up a little bit against Italy and actually play Basha as the winger and then Kachawi as the left back.
I could see it.
I could see her doing that just to be able to shut down Italy a bit more, because, we'll get to Italy, but, they're a very, very decent team, like, no doubt about it. And they've shown it over the last couple of years, not just internationally, but even their club teams have shown it.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking maybe Italy's too soon, but at some point in the knockout stages, she's going to go defensive, and she might just do that.
Well, that's a good point, because I think France has like the same problem, like really the French Federation has this problem, like in the men's and the women's game, where they have so many talented players, but they choose to basically restrict them in a lot of ways. You don't really see as open or as dominant of an attacking team as you should, given the level of talent on both the squads. So you're probably right. And I do think, though, given how attack-minded Karshawi is, and how Selma Basha is such a good player, I think you do have the ability to be both. So it might not be like the tactic may be defensive, but those two players can combine and do some really nasty stuff on the wing. So I think even though that may be the tactic, the players might be like, okay, cool, we're still good enough to attack. And when we have the space to do so, we're going to do it. So it may work out just because the players are that good.
Yeah. Okay. So just right off the top, I have France as my Group D winners. I think they just have too much talent. And I know we'll get on to Italy, but they just have too much talent to not win this group. I would be amazed if that talent doesn't overcome their coaching. In the group, not in the knockouts.
Yeah,
in the group.
Yeah, I mean, it's... Am I going to say this? I think what you're hoping, if you're a fan of the France team, and I am, because that team diaspora, but if you are a fan of that France team, you're hoping that they can do something similar to what the 2019 U.S. Women's National Team did in the World Cup, and overcome some coaching issues. And they are talented enough to do that. So like you said, I think they will top this group. It is not going to be easy.
Yeah.
Because we can move it. If you want to move on to Italy now, we can, because Italy scares me.
Yeah.
As a Chelsea fan, and now as somebody who wants France to do well with them in their group, they scare me.
So yeah, let's go ahead and switch to Italy. Why not? Right? I mean, where do you want to start? We can start right at the top, I guess. It's the easiest thing, right?
Yeah.
Let's talk about Barbara Bonacea for a second.
Yes.
I'll be completely honest. Up until the 2019 World Cup, I didn't know much about her. I didn't know much about Italy. But as I was watching them, because I don't know if you remember, but the way they didn't start the tournament like hot. They started actually kind of a little bit shaky.
Mm-hmm.
And then as the tournament progressed, and as they progressed in the tournament, they just got better and better and better. And since then, I'd say, because I've watched more club than national team for Italy, but for club, the Italian players have gotten better and better and better. And obviously, Juventus, if you look at the most recent Champions League campaign, almost pulled off the shocker against Lyon.
Yes. Beat them once.
Beat them once.
Yeah, beat them once.
And if we talk about the group stages, even though I'm sure you don't want to, but, you know, they were part of the reason why your team didn't progress.
Correct. Yes.
So
they went into King's Meadow and did not allow Chelsea to score. It hurt. It hurt real bad.
You know, that's if we talk about just how good of a performance that is, right? Because everyone knows that Chelsea has firepower.
Yes.
Like I think that's even understating it, right? When we say Chelsea has firepower.
Yeah.
So the fact that they were able to stop them from scoring.
Yeah.
At home, by the way, not in Turin, at home in England, in London, it shows that in terms of not just the quality of Italy and the league there as a whole, but just even the players themselves have completely grown and developed over the last couple of years. So if we, like I said, if we look at right at the top, you have Barbara Bonacea, you have Valentina Giantinti, you have Cristiana Girelli. Those three for me are like the three of them together, and they tend to play together on the national team, the three of them.
Yeah.
They're just potent. And they don't even need to be like, you know, the dominant team or whatever, because like I said, you know, against Lyon and even in the World Cup, right? They showed that they might not have as much quality and depth as all the other teams, but as a unit, they operate very well and they understand each other very well and they know their roles. Each player, whether they're coming off the bench, whether they're starting, each player knows their role very, very well. And so when it comes to like the group itself, I know, Andre, you wanted to put it out there and say they're going to be the group winners. Go ahead, state your case.
Oh, so it's tough. Well, I mean, the part of the case is France's coach, because I can see Italy getting a result, and if Italy gets a result in that game, the France versus Italy game, which to me, you know, I trying to pick out a key game, and it's so far it's been like the top two. I feel like we're going to be in the group facing each other. That won't be the same in the other groups, but in this one, I think it is. I mean, France versus Italy. That to me is going to decide it. I think Iceland is a good team, and we'll talk about them a little later. But I do think that there's a chance that they could surprise somebody. Maybe outside chance. But I think it's really France and Italy are the ones. And I don't know. It's going to be really hard to break down that Italy defense. I mean, I think even if you go back and look at like Algarve Cup performances, right? You look at Italy beat Denmark 1-0. They beat Norway 2-1. It took penalties for Sweden. It was 6-5 in the penalty shootout. It was 1-1 after was it full time, and then 6-5 in the penalty shootout. I mean, I think like they are a very, very tough team to score on, and they keep you close. And then, like you said, that front line. Bonacea has just an ability to find those gaps in defense when you need to and get a goal. And if Italy gets a goal, good luck. Like that's the hard part with it. If Italy gets up on you, you're going to have to fight hard in order to overturn that. And so that's what scares me about it, particularly with a head coach on France who I don't believe you can really trust tactically. So it's going to really be all about that game. I'm scared. Like I want to say, I'm rocking a France kit. Like right, like, I got the shirt on. I got it's Katoto. I'm hyped for this. I want France to do it. You know what? I'm just gonna say France, even though my head and everything I just said says Italy. I don't care. I can't say it while I'm wearing this shirt. I'm going with France, but I have it's very hollow. It's just because I want to.
And I'll just go ahead and say that Italy are my dark horse pick for this competition. I think they could cause an upset. I really, really see them getting to the quarterfinals and causing an upset.
Yeah, it would not surprise me. That team, like I said, they scare me. Club and country.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So we can talk about Iceland since you mentioned them. Like we said, we think that it's going to be Italy and France going through. But that doesn't mean that, we're just going to forget about Iceland. Because, like you mentioned, they've got solid players there. They really, really do. And it's just about whether they can combine all that together and overcome, I guess, the lack of quality compared to like France and Italy. I don't know if that's the best way to put it, but that's how I would, right? And I think what's key for Iceland is their midfield, for me. I think, especially when you look at Dagny Brynjarsdóttir and Gani Jónsdóttir, who Gani is someone we're both very, very familiar with because she plays in the NWSL. So we see her, well, depending on what time of the year it is, twice a week, 3 times a week, who knows anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, we see her plenty. And she might not be the most technically gifted midfielder around, but in terms of just being able to hustle back and forth constantly for 90 plus minutes, she has that in buckets loads. Yeah. And she will give everything on the field, right? So that if she and Jónsdóttir and I'm sorry, did I mention I don't know if I mentioned it or not. Did I mention Brynjarsdóttir?
Yeah, you did.
Okay, yeah. So if I'm thinking that those 3 can do something there. But again, it's just that do they have enough quality to overcome Italy and France? That's the thing. I think the key will be the midfield. If they can shut down either France or Italy's midfield, then they might have a chance. But when you look at France, when you look at Italy, the firepower that they have, the ability that they have, I don't know if they can overcome that.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be the concern, right? I don't, and I think when you look at the groups, you're really looking at, for me, you're looking at some teams, you just want to see them progress and get better, like as a national team. I think we saw, Iceland in She Believes Cup with the U.S. Women's National Team, and they put up some good fights, but where clearly there was a talent gap there, and the kids in the U.S. Women's National Team went crazy because
that's what they do.
Yeah, they're already problems.
It is what it is.
Yeah. So, but I think in a tournament like this, you want to see progression, and so I think you're going to be able to see some of that because, like you said, you do have quality in midfield. I also think I got to give a shout out to Svendis Jónsdóttir. I think one of my favorite players.
I left that one for you.
Yeah, she's young. Plays for Wolfsburg. She's only 21. Just turned 21, I believe, in early June. Yeah, and she's a very, very good winger. She's one of those players who, if you are going to pack it in midfield and try to hit on a counter, you can get the ball to her and good things can happen. Yeah. She is, of course, still young, still learning. But to me, I think that she is a unique threat that you have to account for. And if you leave any sort of gap, and if you end up getting stuck somewhere, the ball gets played forward and you got her one-on-one running into your box, you're going to have a problem. So I'm excited. Do I think that they're going to be able to take points off of France and Italy? Probably not. But I do think you want to see quality performances from them. And like you said, I think you will. I think they have the talent in midfield to be able to stand up to some of the teams. And then they may carry a threat. It just depends. Does the ball get to them? Do they get an early goal against somebody? And then, it's one of those games where they kind of try to bunker down and hope that they can protect that 1-goal lead. I could see something like that happening for them. So yeah, I just honestly really just want to see progress from their national team because I'm excited about where the talent in the program and want to see it continue to develop.
And I think the thing, just mentioning Svendis very quickly, to me, it's not a direct comparison. It's not like a direct comparison, just putting that out there. But
Are you gonna go with
what it is, her, not her running style as such, but her acceleration, it reminds me of Alex Morgan of old, where she doesn't look fast, but she is quick.
Yeah.
And Alex Morgan, back in the day, not so much now, happens, age and all, but back in the day, she didn't look quick. But if you got her running, you weren't going to catch her.
Yeah.
And it's the same with Svennis, right? Once she gets into her stride, that's it. You're not going to catch her. So I think it is something to just keep an eye on in terms of when they play the other teams. Now, obviously, I think France have the defenders, especially on the wings, to be able to keep up with her.
Yeah.
Italy might not.
Yeah.
So that will be an interesting matchup to see if Iceland can set her free. If they can, then, there's an opportunity there. But if they don't get her the ball in the right kind of places to be able to hurt, especially a team like Italy, then they're not going to go very far.
Yeah, that's the other thing, though, that and you tend to see this happen a lot with forwards who are quick. And I know Wolfsburg did this a bit, which bothered me, even though they don't necessarily have to, but they just like boot the ball in the channels and hope that she can run into them. Like, don't make a player do like 20 of those 50-yard sprints. It's not fair. It's not right. Like play the ball well, like smartly. Try to give them a chance rather than just letting them burst,
because they have the speed. They don't need to eat up all that ground. Just give them the right ball.
Yeah, exactly. So I get frustrated, and I feel like Iceland's probably going to do that a couple of times because it's going to be hard. And when they get the ball, it's just going to be like, get it up, pitch, go, see if you can get to it. But yeah, you are correct. It's funny you mentioned that. I didn't know where you were going to go with that comparison, but I could see it. I can see it because she is one of those players where you look at it, the ball's, going to bounce between players and you're thinking, okay, that's going to be a 50-50. Yeah. And then you kind of blink and she's
gone. Yeah.
And you're like, oh, okay. That was
like,
not
wait a second.
all.
What? Yeah. So yeah, I think she is definitely a player to watch. It just depends on how well Iceland use her speed. And again, you mentioned it yourself that it's all about ball placement, right? If they put her in the right place for her, she can do damage. Yeah. But if they just punt it forward and say, okay, go get it, that's not going to work, especially against Italy and France. They're too organized for that.
Yeah.
Okay. Correct. So the next team in Group D is Belgium. And I'm going to be completely honest. I don't know a whole lot about Belgium. I really don't. I think the only player I know from Belgium is Janice Kamen, and that's it.
I got Tessa Woolard. I know her, but yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I don't have a ton on this Belgium team. And that's why this section is probably gonna be short because not only do I not know a lot about them, they're in a group where it's gonna be difficult to see them getting a result in pretty much any of their matchups. If I'm being honest.
And if you just watched the friendly they played against Belgium, didn't go. I mean, against England, sorry.
Yeah.
It didn't go well. I mean, they held on for like
an hour.
Yeah.
And then it just yeah.
And I mean, when you look, like we talked about already, France and Italy have the quality to just overcome that. So Belgium, I don't see them springing any surprises or any shocks in that group, to be honest.
I mean, well, yes, that's the thing. It looks like, just looking at their results and some of the players that I do know that are on the team, they do have, and it does seem like their goal is to be able to make it very difficult for teams to score against them. Mm-hmm. Eventually, good teams will, but it just depends on don't get frustrated. Do what you have to do. Keep pounding, and you will get your goal. But if they can frustrate somebody and get it to the 75th, 80th minute with it still 0-0, then you might have something interesting going on. But it does look to especially looking at their past results. I mean, you're able to see teams Germany beat them 2-0, Norway beat them 2-0, Spain beat them 3-0. So they can hold out for a bit, but eventually good teams are going to crack through.
Yeah, they're going to wear them down. Yeah, that's true.